Hey everyone, Gary Simon of Corsetro. Let's take a look here at today's project. So we can see we have just a real simple two-column layout with an SVG graphic right here. Now let's go ahead and scroll down and we can see how they scroll with the page up until a certain point associated with the text over here. So we have our ice cream over here. Well, these are all kind of variations of ice cream. This is a sundae, and the sundae shows up and the other one leaves. And so what's really cool about this is there's no JavaScript at all in any of this. It's really just relies around one CSS property positioned with the value of sticky. So I'm going to show you exactly how to use that, and then we're going to expand on this. And we're going to make animation cur with very few lines of JavaScript. So if I refresh, we'll see the one that's currently in view will have an animation applied to it, and the next one, and the next one. So we'll be covering that, and it's really simple. I think it's about 8 lines of JavaScript with the help of a script that we will include in the page. All right, so make sure you subscribe here, and today's question is this. I want you to share with us your worst client nightmare. All right, so what made it a nightmare? What was your response, and how did it end up? So look down in the comments below, as the top sticky comment will be mine with my personal story. All right, so again, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and let's get started. Okay, so to get started here, I'm just going to create a new folder. So make directory, we'll call this, I don't know, sticky. And then cd into sticky. Oops, got to put our double ampersands. All right, and then code period will open it up for us. All right, get this into view real quick. And as usual, we'll go ahead and create an index.html, main.css. We're going to have some images here, just some SVG graphics. And I've basically, let's minimize this. I've grabbed just from iconfinder.com. If you type in food and you sort by, actually, let me just show you. Food, you sort by price, free, and then format vector. Free for no link back. You'll find it right here. And so just click on any of these if you want to use the same graphics, and click on SVG. It'll download it. And then I have 3 of them, SVG files that have been downloaded, called ice cream, sundae, and eaten. All right, so I'm just going to take those from the desktop and just drag them into the images. Why is that not working? There we go. Into the images folder. Okay, so now in index.html, use the exclamation point. I'm going to hit Control+ to get this a little bit larger so we can see everything. All right, and then we're going to link up our main.css. All right, and we're ready to roll. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control B to get rid of that sidebar. We have a little bit more room to work with. So the first thing we'll do is establish the HTML. And so to do that, we're just going to structure this in different sections using the section element. So section, and inside of here, we're going to have a figure element and then an image source for the SVG graphic. So images /ice cream.svg. And we're going to, just leave it like that. And then we'll put in an article element, and we'll just use, you can use H1, H2, H3. We'll just assume, we'll just use H3 here. And then I'm going to copy and paste just some lorem ipsum text that's off screen. So it gives us enough vertical scroll so that we can demonstrate the effect. So here that is. Nothing exciting is happening here. It's just a bunch of paragraphs. You can go to lipsum.com or just type in lorem if you have the lorem extension there in Visual Studio Code, as I'm using. All right, so save this, and we'll take our section here and we'll paste it 2 more times, so we have a total of 3. And then we'll just quickly change this up, and this one is sundae.svg. We'll just say Sunday. And then also we'll have one more. So one was called eaten. There's like a bite out of the vector or whatever, the illustration, and then eat it up. Okay, so I'm not even gonna bother changing the actual paragraphs. This is just for demonstration. Okay, so now we'll go back to, or head into our CSS file, and we'll do some initial CSS rule sets to set things up a little bit. So I'm gonna set the height to 100% here, and also set margin 0 to get rid of any default margin. And then also body, we'll reference that. We're gonna give ourselves a background of that light blue color. So the code is D8F7FF, just a very light blue. If you hover over, you could see you know, where it falls out in the spectrum there. And then also font family is always Montserrat. It's already installed on my system, so I'm not going to import it to Google Web Font. You could do that if you wish. And then now we're going to go ahead and start working with our first element, which is the section element. So the section element is going to be a grid container, so a CSS grid. So section, we'll say display of type grid. And if you never used that before, the CSS Grid's a new way to structure layouts. Make sure you do a search on my channel for that. I have a lot of tutorials on that. And we have two columns. We have on one side, we have the icon or the SVG graphic, and then on the other side, we have our content, which is in the HTML article element. So the first one, we're just going to say 30%. That's going to be the width of that area. And then we're going to say auto, or in other words, whatever's left over afterwards, it'll take it up for that second column. All right. Also, we'll go ahead and say, no, we'll do the next is figure. So figure is what contains our image element. All right. So we're going to give it that a slightly darker background color. It's just like a slightly darker blue. So I'm going to paste that in here, and you'll see it's just, I just drug it down slightly just to create, you know, enough of a noticeable difference so we can clearly see the two different columns. And then also we'll put margin 0 because figure does have some inherent margin on it. All right. And then we're also, let's reference our article, which is the second column container. This is just going to be here. We're just going to give it a padding of 2 EM. All right. So far, if we look at this, it's, let's go to Control B. We're going to right click on our index and open with live server. This is what we have going so far. Nothing, it's all pretty much static at this point. Let's style up this other remaining stuff, and then we'll focus on the actual purpose of the tutorial in this effect. So article, let's do H3 for our titles. We're going to make them bigger. So font size is going to be 3 EM, and margin top, get rid of the default margin top there. And then also our paragraph element, let's give it some extra line height just so we get ourselves some more vertical scrolling. All right. One final element, the SVG graphics are kind of big, so we'll just reference the image tag, and that will be width. We're just going to say 250 pixels by default. And then to center this up, let's go ahead and we'll go to our figure. Need to put text align center, forgot about that. All right, so now to make this work, we're going to set just really two properties on the element that we want to stick. And then one of them, of course, has a vendor prefix. And so the first property here is position, and we're going to set it to sticky. All right, now there's a vendor prefix for this as well, so it's WebKit sticky. And then also we have to set a top value or it won't work. So we can say top 0 or top 20 pixels and then save it. And it's automatically going to work now. Awesome, awesome stuff. So now we can even take it a step further by introducing just a little bit of JavaScript in order to animate when these come into view. All right, so we're going to use this right here. It's called enter-view. Hopefully you can see the URL to that. And it has a usage here. It lets you know how to use it. There's a demo. But what we want is this enter view min.js right here. All right. And so if we just choose raw, just copy all this, and then let's get rid of this welcome here. We'll create just a JavaScript file. Let's call this sticky.js. Actually, I shouldn't call it sticky because it has nothing to do with sticky, but whatever. We'll leave it like that. And then at the bottom, we'll go ahead and include that. So script source equals sticky.js. And then we'll also put in our own JavaScript here. All right. And so what we want to do is, and again, you can look at the docs for this enter view to get an idea of exactly, how to use it. It has some cool demos right here. So you start scrolling. It'll show you the code associated with the given effect. All right, so it's really simple, just a few lines of code really to achieve what you want. So I'll go ahead and start writing that real quick. So what we'll do is we're going to put in, we'll call it, so enter view right here. And we open this up in an object, and we simply have some properties now. So selector is what we want to place this on. So when it comes, what element do we want to do something with when it comes into view? So that's going to be the image element right here. If we assuming we wanted to apply some type of animation towards it. So image, and then also we'll say on enter, it also does accept an offset property as well, which is optional, and you can see how that works in the documentation. So enter, we'll say the function is going to be l.classList, and this is all vanilla JavaScript stuff. So we're going to add a class to it, a CSS class called entered. All right, and that's it. So you can also add an exit, like to remove a class, and you could see that in the examples for enter view. So with that saved, it's going to add entered, but we have to define the entered class here in CSS. So this could be anything. You can just type it out yourself if you want to add some type of simple transition type of animation or an actual keyframe animation. I thought it'd be interesting to use this cool tool right here called Animista, animista.net. And I click try me, you have this robust interface of all these preset animations, and then it's all customizable here. I never covered this, but someone brought it to my attention recently. But it's really cool. So you saw at the beginning of this tutorial where I used one of these. Let's see here. There was something that, what did it do? We'll use this one. So once we have the one that we want to use, we can go ahead and click this bracket over here. Oh, before you do that though, hit X here. Before you do that, if you wanted to change something like the duration, you want these to last longer and change the timing function, blah, 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 you can do all that here. Then you click on this little syntax area and you copy just the properties right here. All right, and then you paste them into your code editor. So this is going to be on an entered class. So we paste that right there. We save it. Not done yet though. Come back here and copy the class associated with the keyframes. All right, so that's all that. Quite a bit of stuff there. But it adds all of the vendor prefixes for you. All right, so we'll save this. With any luck, it will work. Oh, it actually flips it upside down. I didn't realize that. All right, so let's increase this just a bit. So Control plus, or Control scroll wheel rather. So we refresh, and because this one's in view by default, it's going to play that whatever animation or it's going to add whatever properties that are associated with that entered class. Come down. And it looks like it's happening just before we get into view. So some of them, there you go. So you can really adjust when it occurs with that enter view with the offset property. But there we go. All right, guys, so hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you subscribe here. And also remember, leave a comment with your worst climate nightmare. All right, so again, what made it a nightmare? What was your response and how did you deal with it? How did it turn up? Also, you can check out my personal story in the comments below. All right, I'll see you guys real soon with a new tutorial.